You know, sometimes you just want to make a sound and you just need a synth you can open up and get results from. You don't want to get into the tiny details of different LFO shapes or even a huge mod matrix. Don't get me wrong, sometimes getting lost in a synth for hours can be fantastic fun, but sometimes you just want a simple synth that delivers. And that's exactly what this video is all about. So stick around because we're going to reveal a free Reaktor gem that keeps things really simple while sounding fantastic. And that's exactly why I keep coming back to it, and it's why you're going to love it too. Oh, just one more thing. This synth manages to do something that I never thought would be possible. It takes granular synthesis, one of the most notoriously complex types of synthesis, and makes it a breeze to use. Let's get into it. Today we're looking at Frame. It's a granular Reaktor synth by Peter Dines, and if you don't know, he's one of the best Reaktor developers out there, and I think Peter deserves a medal for making such an elegant and simple granular synth. That is really no easy task. So what we're going to do is take a brief look at the GUI, and then we're going to shine a light on how this beauty sounds. In terms of the GUI, it couldn't be much more simple. What you see here is exactly what you get. Basically, we've got the waveform display here. This is the grain synth playhead, and below we've got the controls, and it really is that simple. And looking at the controls, there's not that much here, but there are some familiar faces. We've got sample pitch control, we've got sample select, so obviously move this up and down to change the sample that you're working on. And we've got an ADSR envelope here, and some basic input and output gain controls. And the clarify acts as a kind of oral exciter on the output signal. But this is where the fun starts when we look at this section here. For this part, I'm going to assume you know the basics of granular synthesis. If you don't, check out the link in the description. That will bring you back up to speed. But looking at the controls here, you can see the position knob that actually controls the position of the playhead. The length controls the length of the grains, so you can go very large grains as part of your sample or quite microscopic, depending on what it is you're looking to do. And then the smooth control here, you can't see that doing anything on the waveform, but that actually controls the smoothness of the endpoint of the grains. And we've got a couple of buttons, the direction on and off, that basically controls the direction of the grains, either backwards or forwards. And we've got this button here, which means whenever you press a key, it's going to be at maximum velocity. And what we can also do as an added functionality is actually move the playhead and the length manually. So horizontally changes the position and vertically changes the length. So that's just a great additional way of manipulating your sample. Let's take a quick look at the LFO, and you've got three basic controls here. The LFO frequency, that modulates the speed with which the playhead will move through your sample, and it also controls the modulation of the grain length. Then we've got the LFO amplitude, and what that does is to control how far away from the original playhead position that the LFO moves. And then finally, we've got the distance between the grains. And that's it. That's the whole of the GUI. Very elegant, simple solution to granular synthesis. Now that we know how Frame functions, let's turn our attention to how it sounds. Okay, let's see what kind of sounds we can get out of Frame. And for that express purpose, I put this very lame piano loop together. Really nothing special, very boring. And what I want to do with the help of Frame is to convert it into something like this. There we go, I think that sounds quite a bit better than the original. So how do we do that? Let's get into that now. So the first thing we will do is just add a new version of Frame, and we'll switch the sample map visibility on so you can see what's going on. And let's just drag and drop a sound into the window there, and you can see down below that that sample is now loaded, and I think that should be sample number 5, so let's turn that up. There we go. So the sample is now loaded, and this is what it sounds like in a dry fashion. And as you saw earlier with the controls, we can change the position. And we can change the length of the grain. And then we can use the LFO to change the speed and the depth of the modulation and the distance between the grains. What I like doing with granular instruments is to just use the tail of a sound, in this case a piano, and let's move the position of the head to the tail of the last note so that it's sounding like this. Which is already quite a nice sound, but let's make it sound just a little bit nicer. And of course this is very subjective, but I want to just change the position so it's just catching the end of the tail before it really fades off. Let's reduce the length of the sample so it's quite small. And I think that the LFO there is adding a nice bit of randomness to the tail of the piano. Probably moving a bit too much, so let's turn down the amplitude. So I think that's it. What I would like to do, just to make it into just a bit of a mini track, is just add a touch of reverb. So there's the dry. I think that's sounding very nice there. We're using Native Instruments Round, which is always a good bet for a reverb. This is how the track sounds. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you like what you saw, be sure to drop a like and leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe because we've got all kinds of great content in the pipeline for you, and check out the channel. It's absolutely packed with videos that you are going to love. Here's a couple of videos that YouTube is very kindly recommending for you. Why not watch one of them? And I'll see you in the next one.